points in a previous episode, and in this one we are going to be expanding on that by taking a look at 1 point perspective. This means using only one vanishing point to create your drawings. It's common to assume that 1 point perspective is simple, and whilst that can be true, it still has a lot of potential to produce interesting images. So let's begin with a simple example. Here I have established the horizon line and I have placed the vanishing point in the centre. Now I am going to draw in some boxes using that point. These are drawn in 1 point perspective. And I'll likely begin the episodes on 2 and 3 points perspective in a similar way, because drawing boxes like this, it's a simple way to illustrate the use of vanishing points. Now here we have these boxes of different sizes placed in this space. Notice how one plane is flat whilst the others are converging to that vanishing point. If I draw them above the horizon, I will be looking up at them from below. If I draw them below the horizon, I will be looking at them from above. Remember that this is because the horizon line is our eye level. This is a good exercise to start with if you are a beginner. Try drawing boxes like this in 1 point perspective. You may assume that drawing out simple boxes will be of little benefit when learning to draw, but as we progress through this series, you'll notice that we depend on boxes and other basic forms to construct and draw almost anything in perspective. And so to give you an example, I am going to draw a street scene in 1 point perspective, and I'll begin by lightly drafting in some construction lines. Here I just repeat what I had done in the previous example, except this time I have an idea of what I want to draw, and so I arrange these boxes with that in mind. This perspective blockout can then be used to draw everything more accurately. Remember that you can also move the vanishing point across the horizon line, changing the view of the drawing. As I create this drawing, notice how everything responds to the perspective that is applied. All of these different elements, like the windows on the buildings, the cars on the street, all of it converges to that vanishing point. Although you might have noticed that this vehicle is on an angle, this is an exception. It's actually in 2 points perspective, which we will be covering in the next video. So once everything was constructed correctly, I began to render the image. And a street view like this is a common example of 1 point perspective. If you were to go stand in a similar street in real life, you would see the same result. And that's what perspective is all about. It's about generating that realistic space, turning a flat drawing surface into a three-dimensional world. So now let's take a look at another example. As always, I begin by establishing the horizon line, and then I place a vanishing point on this line. Again, for this example, let's keep it in the center. Now I am going to be drawing the interior of a building from a top-down view, and building plans are usually presented as flat projections, but seeing as I am drawing in perspective, this will be done three-dimensionally. Once I have created some walls around this room, which also establishes the floor, I can start to draw in some objects. Pay attention to how everything is directed to the vanishing point. All of this is being blocked in using basic shapes. Drawing out simple boxes is really useful because it allows you to construct more complex forms within them whilst keeping within the perspective that is applied. These examples we have taken a look at allow you to understand the potential drawings that can be created in simple 1 point perspective. We will be exploring different techniques and methods throughout these episodes, so don't worry too much if a lot of these end up looking a little overwhelming. However, I'd encourage you to try and recreate some of these drawings. You'll find that it's actually pretty simple. You need only to focus on one vanishing point for this, and the resulting images can look great. We will continue to progress onto more complex techniques in later episodes.